I'm Chief Justice VanMeter, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to the 2023 Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health Summit. This event is the first of its kind in many ways, and I'm excited to see it finally taking place. It is the first to have this level of collaboration between the justice system and the healthcare system. It is the first to bring mental health into the spotlight, where it has so often been relegated to silence. And to have this turnout, 1,100 people have signed up. And to have this turnout is a testament to Kentucky's willingness to improve, to say that we can do better than business as usual. No doubt, all of us are necessary to effect lasting change. The justice system and the healthcare system are each complex on their own, and that complexity multiplies when both systems interact. But with proper training and the right procedures in place, we can create a system that efficiently handles cases related to mental health, substance use, and intellectual or developmental disabilities. These cases need real resolution, and at this summit, you will hear about exciting initiatives taking place to make it happen. With 60 speaking presentations offered in concurrent sessions over the course of 2 days, you will have no shortage of learning opportunities. Each breakout session has a wide variety of topics to keep everyone engaged, no matter their background. The foundation of any just society lies in its ability to protect and promote the rights and well-being of all its citizens. Mental health and substance use demands our unwavering attention. It affects not only individuals who grapple with the challenges, but also the families, communities, and systems entrusted to upholding the principles of fairness and equity. We must confront the complexities surrounding mental illness and substance use to ensure that our systems are equipped to address the needs of those who find themselves entangled within them. This summit serves as a powerful platform for exchanging knowledge, sharing experience, and cultivating collaborative solutions. Throughout this summit, you will engage in thought-provoking discussions, delve into best practices, and explore innovative strategies that enhance the intersection of law, mental health, substance use, and other health concerns. You will identify key challenges and devise solutions that transcend borders and jurisdictions, driven by a shared commitment to creating fair and legal frameworks that support mental and physical well-being. I invite each one of you to actively participate, share your perspectives, and contribute your knowledge. Your presence here today shows your dedication and commitment to improving our response to justice-involved individuals experiencing mental health illness, substance use, and intellectual and developmental disabilities. Thank you all for being here, and may this summit be the catalyst for lasting change. And I think now I'm turning it over to my colleague, Justice Debbie Lambert, who is the real guiding force behind this event.
Good morning, everyone. I want to announce that I have had multiple anxiety dreams about forgetting my notes. And look, I made it. How exciting it is to see each of you here. I can feel the energy in the room, and I hope you can too. Each of you have shown up with an attitude to work and to share your ideas and your programs. We have so many good things going on in Kentucky, and I know you've brought your good ideas and your good programs, and we're going to break down silos and work together, work more efficiently, and that energy that is already in the room has energized me to the point that I can hardly sit still. I know, thank you. We will get started soon. Can you believe that our commission just started in August and we're already at a gathering of this size? I must thank Shauna Mitchell, our hardworking administrator. Shauna. From the beginning, we've taken an all-hands-on-deck approach. We needed everyone at the table, And the need for better mental health coordination in our state has really fueled this project, and the fact that each of you have taken time out of your busy lives. I know each of you have family obligations. It's a sunny day. If you have a pool, it's open. And you're here in a windowless room and you're ready to work. So thank you. You have lived experience. We have mental health, or some of you have lived experience with mental health. Certainly your family, your friends have that lived experience. If you are working in healthcare, if you're a judge, if you're a prosecutor, a clerk, law enforcement, a nonprofit leader, you're here to share that, and we're all going to benefit from that. There has never been such an opportunity for us in Kentucky to gather this type of data and information. And we have previously worked on a recovery-oriented system of care, and this is going to be our opportunity to showcase those efforts. And at the center of it all is something that some of you have heard about before, but some of you may not have heard about before, called a sequential intercept model. And with my southern accent and my excitement, I have to slow down even more to say sequential intercept model. And you're going to hear that over and over again in our presentations throughout this. But at lunch today, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, or others are who can say it more easily. And they're going to discuss how our criminal justice system works and all the different interventions where treatment is possible at every step, and how we can intervene more quickly and more effectively at every step. In February of this year, we spent 2 days doing the hard work of identifying how our state currently operates. And my background, for those of you who don't know, and some of you who don't care, you're going to hear about it anyway, my background is in child development, and I think of it almost as the Montessori model, where there's 20 some odd steps to washing a table. And it's almost like breaking it down into Montessori steps and breaking down the system and identifying each touch point along the way and where we can improve the system, and to see which barriers are in the way and gathering those resources that we can use to overcome those barriers. So we have a full plenary lunch session today that dives into those details of the effort. And I hope it will get you thinking about what the sequential intercept model means for your community. It's important for us to not only incorporate the Kentucky perspective, though, and the work that's being done here, but also to consider what's being done at the national level. In a nation like ours, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. And we've been inspired by initiatives taking place across the country. And during the summit, we're going to get to hear from some of the brightest minds behind those initiatives, including Judge Stephen Leifman from Miami, the Bureau of Justice Assistance Director Carlton Moore, and California's Medicaid Director J.C. Cooper, to name a few. And each of these individuals have invaluable experience that we can learn from in making Kentucky a better place to live for those dealing with mental illness and substance in our justice system. I'm very grateful that the commission is being championed not just by myself, but my esteemed colleagues in all 3 branches of the government. The fact that we have speakers here from the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the governor's office is just a testament to the belief that we each have in making the system better. Each branch has a special role to play in moving our state forward, and each branch is taking that responsibility very seriously. And I certainly want to thank you for choosing to spend the next couple of days working with us, and thank again the individuals who have made this event possible. Thank you very much. Be excited about what's about to take place. You are a part of a very important piece of work that can change your community. Thank you very much. And now, Lieutenant Governor Coleman.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Justice Lambert. And if you look at this table up here, we have Chief Justice VanMeter, Justice Lambert, myself, Secretary Friedlander, we have Representative Moser, and we have Senator Givens. Up at this table, you have all three branches of government represented. You have both parties represented. You have urban and rural represented. You have the field of law, of education, of healthcare, all up here together to show that this is a top priority in the state of Kentucky. But more importantly, look around this room. Look at the people who are here today. You all are the ones who are, what I like to say, are in the trenches doing the work. And so while we're here to support you and to listen to you and to learn from you, please remember that how important your role is in showing up today. The fact that you showed up today proves what we all knew to be true, which is that this is a major, major issue and challenge that we're all dealing with, but this is the village in which we're all going to work together to deal with that. So thank you for being here today. This is really a historic event because this is the first ever Kentucky Judicial Commission conference on mental health. And so on behalf of Governor Beshear and myself and all of Team Kentucky, I want to welcome you to doing some really, really important work today. Justice Lambert said this is a baby step. This is a really big baby step in this room right now, which is really amazing. But for those of you who don't know, I was a teacher before I became lieutenant governor. I taught high school and coached high school basketball. And so from my time as a teacher, but also from my time as lieutenant governor, I knew that we had a growing mental health crisis in our classrooms. This was not created by the pandemic. It existed before the pandemic, but I think we can all agree that the pandemic certainly exacerbated the challenges that we're all dealing with in this arena right now. And there's research to back up my fear that this was really going to impact our young people especially. At the beginning of the year, there was a Pew Research report that showed that the number one issue for parents across the country was their child's mental health. The number one issue. What that tells me is there's nothing more important than us working alongside parents, many of us are parents, to work on this challenge on behalf of our kids. And more specifically, 40% of the parents that were surveyed said that they are extremely or very worried that their child might struggle with anxiety or depression. 40%. Extremely or very worried. And according to the 2021 Kentucky Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 9.8% of middle school students and 9.5% of high school students in Kentucky admitted to attempting suicide in the last 12 months. That is what we're up against, and that is certainly the challenge of our times. 10% almost of middle and high school students. It means that all of us probably know one in our lives. And so I knew that mental health of children was a top concern for parents, and I knew that students were looking for help. They want to decrease the stigma. They want to normalize this conversation, and they wanted to know how to help their friends or maybe themselves find help. And so during this time, I kept hearing adults talk to other adults about student mental health, and I didn't really hear a lot of adults listening to students. And so I decided to change that. So in 2021, in the fall, the Student Mental Health Initiative was born. And I want to tell you a little bit about this initiative because it's certainly a building block to what all of you are working on every single day. And if you're interested in learning more about it, my Deputy Chief of Staff, Heather Deering, is here today, and she is going to do a breakout session later that will dive a little bit deeper into this initiative and the work that we're doing. And she really is the main architect of this work, so she knows a whole lot about this work that we're doing, but this is what we did. We partnered with students from across the state, and together we launched 10 regional action summits around Kentucky so that our student leaders could hear from the experts, other students, right? And I had one requirement for this work. If we're gonna do this work, then it's gonna be 100% student-led. And this is how student-led it was. I wanted to call them roundtables, and they told me that was boring. So the action summits were born, right? I mean, they literally decided every bit of that. So I stood corrected on that. But our students planned those action summits. They developed the questions that would guide the conversations, and they facilitated the conversations with their peers. And from all of that, we captured some really high-level data. And our student leaders dove into that data, and from that, they crafted policy recommendations that we then took on a little bit of a roadshow. And those policy recommendations were how to support our schools and our students in the challenge of mental health. And so I'm really pleased that we have recently announced that more than $40 million in federal funding is coming to Kentucky schools to help support and expand school-based student mental health services because of our students' work. What I learned very quickly is I could open the door for them, and then once they get in the room, people can't tell students no. So that's why we had such success with that. But this is more than just addressing student mental health. This is building a workforce. This is a combination of K-12 services that are being provided, partnering with higher education to develop the next generation of school-based mental health counselors, and then placing them in that region where they're from to help serve students. And so this is really tackling a host of issues around the challenge of mental health, including workforce. And so this funding is going to all corners of the Commonwealth. And through these federal dollars and the work of these students, more than half of Kentucky's counties are eligible to see expanded access to school-based mental health services for their students. That map was empty before we started. And now over half of the counties are accounted for, but I will not rest until we can account for access for every single county in Kentucky, because it shouldn't matter your zip code as to what services you are getting in your schools. And here's why this is so important. Okay, people say, well, why schools, right? Students are 6 times more likely to access mental health services if they are offered in their school. 6 times. And so meeting our kids where they are is critically important in this work. And we've still got a lot to do. We've accomplished a lot, but we still have a lot to do. We've got to tackle the stigma around mental health. We've got to build up a workforce, which is what we're working on, that can meet this opportunity. And of course, we need more funding, and we need funding at the state level as well as at the federal level. And I'm pleased to see that we're starting to see progress in so many areas. I mean, you see up here today, all 3 branches are represented. But we also have this conference that is obviously sponsored by the Judicial Commission. We have recently, and I'm sure our legislators will talk about this, a new task force that was put together in the legislature to look at school safety and student mental health. And you know, my office has been doing this work for years now. And we're so excited to see that all 3 branches have come together to prioritize student mental health in Kentucky, because now is the time to act. It is absolutely incumbent upon all of us to work together for the best interest of our kids. Nothing, I'm here as a political figure, right? Nothing I said has anything to do with right or left, red or blue, Democrat or Republican. Nothing. All of this is about putting all of that aside and doing what's best for our kids and our families and our communities. And I always say it's not about doing, right or left. It's about making sure that our kids are included. And so I want to make sure that I thank all of you for being here today. Your presence is a signal about how critically important this is and how much you trust the folks that have put this together from the judicial branch to guide us through and help each community get through this challenge together. So I want to say thank you, God bless you, and God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And with that, Secretary Eric Friedlander.
Thank you. Chief Justice VanMeter, Deputy Chief Justice Lambert, thank you all. Thank you all for your leadership. Thank you all for your willingness to collaborate. Thank you all for putting this together and having the vision to make sure that the issues that we're talking about here, mental health, substance use, disability. These are things that we're going to talk about as they impact our system. So thank you so much for your leadership. And of course, fabulous staff of AOC, thank you. And I'd be wrong not to call out the collaboration that occurred with the staff of the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. We worked together to make sure this works for you all. So thank you. Governor Coleman, thank you. You have so often led. It is an honor to work with you, and your passion around youth and families in schools in particular, and around mental health and bringing voice of lived experience in, that has been your commitment since you started, since before you started. So thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership. It really is an honor to serve with you. Whoops. Representative Moser, Senator Givens, thank you all. We have worked together across years. We have had really, really good conversations and things that we have worked on because we know it's better for Kentucky. And we've not 100% agreed, which is fine. It is our conversation, and it is our working together where we come up with solutions for Kentucky that have to do with making Kentucky a better place to live. Thank you both for your leadership. So we heard some words already. Compassion and fairness and equity and recovery-oriented and rebound, individuals rebounding. We call it resilience at the Cabinet, but we'll take rebound. It's a basketball term. Oh, that's good. We're good. So this is really important. These words that we say, these words that bring us together to improve our systems, these are important bedrock pieces that we all need to think about as we begin this conference. 1,100 people aligned around common goals of making the Commonwealth better. I think that's fantastic. Thank you all for being here. At the Cabinet, we want to support and promote communities and individuals to live to their full potential. Well, there's really only one way to do that, and that is for us to all work together across the Commonwealth, across parties, across branches of government, in local counties, how to work together and to make sure that we're putting the needs of the folks we're trying to serve first. This is hard to do. We already talked about the complexity of our systems, and particularly when health care and the judicial systems come together. I think about it, and I'm not sure which one's worse to navigate, the healthcare system or the judicial system. It might be a Zen question. So when we compound those complexities with what we know across our systems are disparate outcomes as it relates to race, to zip code, to disability. You all see this. You all see this in your local communities. You see it across the Commonwealth, and you see it probably across your neighborhoods, with your friends. These are things that we know are really, really complex. Poverty is very complex. So here's the thing. We know the big impacts of poverty on our systems. We know the tremendous impact of poverty across our systems. The question we need to ask ourselves is, what are our systems doing to poverty, to mental health, to substance use, to the trauma that folks feel going through our systems that leads to all the other things? How do we work on our systems so that we don't make things worse? That's a tremendous challenge. That's not an easy discussion. So here we are, 1,100 of us, experts, policymakers, professionals, advocates, consumers, practitioners of all sorts. Here we are together because we want to make a difference. You all came here. You all do what you do because you want to make a difference in people's lives, in the lives of Kentuckians. So we have people from 120 counties here, every county across the state. In your packets, there's a county action plan. We're going to ask every county to go back home, to take what you've learned, and come up with a county action plan. Do this, because local solutions, right, are arrived at by folks at the local level, right? Folks with lived experience, folks that know the systems and the individuals and the personalities of their local communities. That's where change is made. So, let's use this opportunity, this precious time together, to explore how we can all do better, how we can work together to make our systems better for all Kentuckians. Thank you. Let's do this.
Well, good morning. This is incredible. I am Representative Kim Moser, and I chair the Health Services Committee for the House. And a little bit about me, just from a background perspective, to help you understand why I'm here and why I'm interested in this, is I am a retired neonatal intensive care and flight nurse. And I served, I took a break and raised 5 boys, and I put them through Montessori, so anyone who's worked with me knows I love a good process. And that's really what this is about, and I think it's really relevant. I later served as the Northern Kentucky Office of Drug Control Policy Director, and so I was very involved in getting to know all of the systemic changes, actually, that really were necessary to make this work. And everything that's been said here so far is 100% true, in that you are the experts, you are the partners who we will be looking to really make these systemic changes. And I too have notes, because Shauna told me I had a few things that I had to say. And I just want to thank Shauna, I want to thank Rachel and Lori and all of the team who have put this together. This is incredible. I remember being at a meeting in Austin last year, and we were represented by all 3 branches of the government, which was incredible in and of itself. And we had the honor of hearing from Judge Leifman. Did I say that right? Leifman? Incredible work that you've done in Florida, and so inspiring that we all kind of looked at each other and said, we need a commission. And look, a year later, we have such a good thing underway. Of course, the devil is always in the details, and that's where you're going to come in. So this Kentucky Judicial Commission is a culmination, really, of concern and creativity in addressing these really pressing needs in our justice system. We over-incarcerate individuals at a higher rate with mental health issues and substance use disorders than any other state, just about. I think that's still where we are. We're close, and certainly in our nation. These are the individuals who, once they're incarcerated or their justice involved, receive little to no treatment for their illness, falling into that vicious cycle of relapse and recidivism. The critical intersection of mental health and the court system is currently underutilized in identifying the needs of the individuals at their entry point. The goal of this is to streamline this process, creating a continuum of care rather than a cycle of incarceration and the fallout that accompanies this cycle. It is with this in mind that we are looking to you, our partners, for the best practices and identification of barriers to treating mental health with humanity and accountability. The commission is subdivided into 3 committees: the Criminal Justice Committee, Civil and Family Justice Committee, and then Treatment and Access. We are so grateful for the time, the energy, the participation of so many experts through workshops, work groups, in looking deeply into these issues, such as Issues such as competency, guardianship, domestic violence, juvenile justice, dependency, abuse, and neglect, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and so many other issues. The Commission's membership is comprised of 74 representatives from the judicial and legal communities, the juvenile, criminal, and child protection systems, the legislature, the business community, organizations with a substantial interest in mental health matters, and other state and local leaders who have demonstrated a commitment to mental health issues affecting all Kentuckians. This includes judges, clerks, public advocates, jailers, I see my friends in the room here, law enforcement, nonprofit leaders, hospital directors, behavioral health professionals, and again, so many more. The need for mental health services to reach justice-involved individuals cannot be overstated. The Bureau of Justice Statistics noted in a 2017 report that 44% of jail inmates and 37% of prisoners have a mental health disorder as diagnosed by a mental health professional. When it comes to serious mental illness, the incidence is equally dire in that 15% of inmates suffer from a serious mental illness. This results in a tremendous cost to Kentucky's public, as the Kentucky Department of Corrections states that it costs an average of $25,435 to incarcerate each state inmate for a year. These numbers are only the beginning when one considers that inmates with a mental illness are far more likely to re-enter that cycle and that system once they've been released, repeating that financial and the human cost over and over and over again. Further, incarcerating individuals with mental illness costs more than incarcerating individuals without a mental illness. It might seem obvious, but these are the things that we need to pay attention to. We have several grants and initiatives that have allowed AOC to partner with the Crime and Justice Institute to assess our current system's strengths and limitations. We seek to improve drug treatment and mental health programming to provide a recovery-oriented system of care. In March of 2021, CJI completed its assessment and it presented its final report, which you all can access, and I know that we're going to talk about this in the next couple of days, but it's titled The Recovery-Oriented Systems of Care, Needs and Opportunity for Kentucky's Court System. So this really helps us kind of map out what we currently have and what we need to look forward to. This report provides an overview of the project. It explains the recovery-oriented system of care model and details CJI's findings and recommendations. The courts are a critical piece of Kentucky's system of recovery-oriented system of care and is in a really a unique position to help identify and meet individuals where they are. Those needs, as you all know, evolve over time, and it's really critical that we, and when we're looking at the intercept model, really have initiatives in place to address things that change in an individual's life. The legislature has worked to strengthen programming and funding for addiction treatment. We have implemented reentry and certification of employability programs. We've instituted recovery-ready communities and reentry and housing pilots. We've passed legislation to bring mental health parity coverage and implemented a mental health first aid program. But the implementation of a recovery-oriented system of care in the court system will be the systemic change that is needed, having immediate and lasting positive outcomes for individuals who are struggling. The results of the report and the exciting work of transferring this to the Judicial Commission will allow treatment experts, you, and the court and all of the staff. We know that there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of people needed to make this work. So all of these folks are the ones who will help us implement and put in place these really lasting results for individuals and get people to a better place. This process will better inform our legislative work, creating partnerships and appropriating funding for these programs. So I'm excited to be part of this group. I'm very honored to be up here. I'm excited to work with all of you. Improving health and resilience is really my mission in the legislature. I love it because it's really a bipartisan space, and we get to put things in place that actually help people. And so I just couldn't be happier to be here to help strengthen the system for families and communities. We know that together we're going to enact some really meaningful changes, and through this, we will improve care, we'll empower individuals to live healthy and productive lives. So thank you all for your work. Thank you for being here today. And I am going to hand this over to Senator Givens.
Well, good morning and greetings on behalf of the Kentucky State Senate. I am Senate President Pro Tem David Givens. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. More importantly, to build my credibility, I want all of you to know that my wife is AOC Director Laurie Givens. And I was told very clearly by her not to mention that today is her birthday, so Chief Justice VanMeter, let the record reflect that I did not mention that today is her birthday. Thank you. I want to begin by offering some special thanks to the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health for convening this summit. My colleagues at the table have spoken eloquently about the need and the passion and the energy, and I'm sensing all of those things. Kudos to the 70-plus members of the commission that helped to bring this together and actualize this summit. This intentional gathering of the leaders and the influencers and the policymakers and the implementers of policy, this intentional gathering offers great promise. Now, over the course of the next 2.5 days, how do you live into that great promise? How do you live into the great promise that's offered in this space? My colleagues have shared with you some of the statistics, and they're frightening. Understand that those of you in this room, as you do the work that life is calling you to, 1 out of 3 individuals that you intersect with will have been diagnosed with a mental health illness. 1 out of 3. Being here offers all of us the opportunity to do the breakout sessions, to engage in the conversations, to learn the language and the lingo, gather the energy, and then go back as ambassadors to our home communities. When I talk about the intentional gathering and this great promise, I want to offer 3 very fundamental pieces that I think we need to take with us after the 2.5 days are over, or in the midst of the 2.5 days. And all 3 of these are verbs. So I'm going to offer these 3 verbs to share my excitement with you about what's happening here. The first verb is to assure. The second verb is to encourage. And the third verb is challenge. Assure, encourage, and challenge. I want to assure you that on behalf of the Kentucky General Assembly, the House and the Senate, we stand ready to assist in writing the policy into law and working hard alongside you to find the funding to actualize the work products that come out of this summit. So I assure you of our commitment to that. My encouragement is to lean in. Over the course of the next 2.5 days, I've spoken with Chief Justice VanMeter prior to coming up. He has given me a little pass that I can virtually send to each one of you. Lean in over the next 2.5 days, and if you're in a breakout session that's getting a little boring, he said you can interrupt the speaker. mid-sentence and say, wait, let's discuss this. Be a participant, be a player. Don't be in the audience sitting in the stands. We need you on the field, on the court, in the midst of the next 2.5 days to make this productive for you. So lean in. I'm going to close with the last verb, the challenge. And this is the hardest of all. It's neat and exciting and a mountaintop moment to be here at the summit. See that turn of phrase? We're here at the summit. This is a mountaintop moment. You're going to leave encouraged. You're going to leave charged up. But you've got to go back into that hard space. All of you in the room have the power, the authority, and the responsibility to meet these people in the most difficult of circumstances, and you will be removed from this mountaintop moment. So the challenge is to take with you the armor and the skills to stand in that space, meet our fellow Kentuckians in these moments of need, help shape their lives in ways that are positive. We have the power to do that. Let's take from this time together the ability, the skills, and the passion to do it. Thank you.